We are covering what is the first major ousting of a Trump White House official in the young second term that we're here living through. It's the security official who uncorked a breach by adding outsiders to a government group message discussion on the app Signal. It's a big deal. You probably remember hearing about it. Well, he's been relieved of that security post. Michael Waltz out as National Security Advisor. That is, of course, a key role typically held for, well, longer than 100 days, typically for years, by seasoned national security vets. This move is Trump's first major senior staffing change of the second term, coming just 48 days after Waltz first released internal discussion of war plans through that app. Many experts said it was a fireable offense at the time. It drew magazine covers, kind of reflecting and really mocking what was seen as an amateurish mistake, playing with larger risk. National security experts said that mistake literally made the United States more vulnerable to massive foreign cyber attacks. Today's move shows how the lingering scandal and the heat ultimately proved too much, at least for the official to be in this post in the Trump administration.
Editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, says he was accidentally texted war plans.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic.
So the person that I thought was on there was never on there. It was this
Who
guy.
was that? What person?
Well, I'm not. Look, okay. Laura, I take responsibility.
Trump said it'll never happen again, and from now on, they'll only talk about war plans over Snapchat.
The White House and the president's national security team doubling down on efforts to shift blame surrounding that Signal chat debacle.
Mike Waltz, I guess he said he claimed responsibility. I don't think he should apologize. I think he's doing his best.
Maybe he was doing his best. The verdict is that it wasn't good enough. And so those early defenses, nothing to apologize for at all, have melted into a version of what passes for accountability, even if it comes with spin and is partial. Waltz is taking another job for the Trump administration in New York, representing America at the UN. No permanent replacement has been named today yet for Waltz, so Secretary of State Rubio will be the temporary backfill. It is the kind of shakeup Trump has sought to avoid, the Times reports. And while the UN can play, of course, important roles, Trump and Republicans have routinely belittled it as something like a world hall monitor. So being sent up to New York to meet with those foreign diplomats outside of the circles of power in Washington is, in a MAGA sense, viewed as a demotion. There are signs Waltz himself heard about this very last minute. He was on the White House grounds, we could see there this morning after doing a TV interview. And after some tough headlines about this change started trickling out, the White House then announced he would take this UN vacancy. There he was today. The Signal breach cost Waltz his job, so it is notable that he was just caught using Signal in an open press gathering of the cabinet again this week. This is a Reuters news photographer who captured his hands, you see there. Now, experienced people know when you go to the open section of the cabinet meeting, the mic is on, it's on the record, as they say, and the cameras and the photographers are quite visibly there. Yet this Reuters photographer was still able to capture him opening his Signal app and including what he lists as apparently real names of high-ranking officials. They're not using code names here. There's references on his phone to what looks like Rubio, Gabbard, and J.D. Vance. You see there. The phone exposed a message from the sender named J.D. Vance, which said he had, quote, confirmation from a counterpart, and, quote, it's turned off. That's what we could read on it. Those are fragments of the communications. They could mean a lot more to certain foreign adversaries who can combine them with other intel. So that was his last cabinet meeting as National Security Advisor. And to be clear, like the security breaches that dogged his now short tenure, it might be remembered more for that kind of sloppy approach to security than the boilerplate statements he made during it, praising the president.
This is leadership at its finest, led by our commander-in-chief who loves the troops and they love him.
We've had 100 days of your leadership with respect, with strength. It's an honor to serve you in this administration, and I think the world is far better, far safer for it.
Whether the world is safer remains to be seen, but the Trump administration's impact on safety and creating safety risks out of whole cloth is what got Waltz ousted so quickly. I mean, again, if you think about these jobs are probably hard to do, but if you just did nothing, you might have had less of an impact than how much he leaked about war plans. Now, another short-lived Trump aide you might remember on your screen there, Anthony Scaramucci. Well, he got in a little jab roasting his fellow MAGA traveler when this news hit today, noting Waltz has now served about 9.2 Scaramucci's as a unit of time for people who don't hold down these jobs very long. Now, that's the tumult inside the White House. And it is just one job, albeit an important one, that reinforces how facts matter. It was the fact of sharing the war plans, covered, documented, sort of can't really spin or deny your way out of that, and then the story lasting, people staying on it, that ultimately changed the staffing. Now, that's just one position, an important one. But it reminds you that while the administration and some of the folks around them say they use their own reality or nothing matters or the press doesn't matter anymore, this was entirely a product of the facts, the reporting, and the sustained pressure. Around the nation, Trump continues to be really facing a souring economy and a trade war that is hurting him. And for all the talk about Republicans who move with lockstep loyalty, that, you know, Ted Cruz will stand by Donald Trump once he won and never push back, and Trump has benefited from that type of support at times, it's also notable right now that Donald Trump has picked a giant fight that's still going on with a right-leaning group that isn't rolling over. I'm talking about financial conservatives and Wall Street and people involved in all that work because they're alarmed over the costly tariffs that are driving the economy down, shrinking gross domestic product, which is a warning sign for a possible recession. Fox News' sister outlet, the New York Post, skewering Trump today for hiking toy prices with his tariffs and then trying to minimize it all. Skimp on the Barbie is how the front page is mocking the president. And it is still the economy stupid, as James Carville memorably put it. And the point there is not just that the economy can drive election outcomes. It's that the economy just sets the baseline mood. In boom times, people may look the other way. But when things go bust, like they have under these tariffs, the nation takes a more skeptical look at its government. And people are now hearing facts about Trump's stumbling 100 days, which is clearly driving opposition, as I mentioned, in conservative media like the Post, in financial quarters, and then really across the country here. These are really stunningly negative underwater results for Donald Trump. You look at this on your screen. We are a long ways from his November comeback, underwater in all major polls, down 11% in Fox News. So that's the temperature. Then there's the political thermostat, because we are in a dynamic process. There are those who think you should just give up or tune out, and it's a free country. You could do that. But there are others, like the signs we see at some of these protests today, this one in Michigan, you voted for democracy, not dictatorship, that are trying to summon the moment to build something larger. In California, we saw a sign that simply says, "We, the people, deserve better." Thousands were seen gathering in Boston, in Washington, in San Francisco, and Chicago. These are new rallies. So if you're watching live on television or on YouTube, you're seeing things that are happening now. Today's news, but it might look familiar because over the last several weeks, we've covered a bunch of similar scenes. Smaller groups in small towns, some of them in conservative and red states, larger gatherings in the large cities, of course. It's a pro rata per capita type thing, but this keeps happening. More of a groundswell than we've seen in most administrations' early periods. The shrinking economy also drawing comparisons to a very memorable Seinfeld episode featuring George Costanza. So Jimmy Fallon brought this up on Late Night, discussing Trump's trade war leaning to economic shrinkage, to that shrinking GDP I mentioned, and likening it to George's troubles.
He shrank. Trump was like, well, it was the 3 coldest months. Of course, it was shrinkage.
Yes, the U.S. economy is undergoing what economists refer to as a George Costanza.
You can see the shrinkage got everybody thinking. But the joke only works, especially in mass late-night shows, if everybody is in on the punchline. A lot of folks watch late night, including people rooting for Trump, including Republicans or conservatives and what have you. But the facts still matter. And if you dare to tell people that the economy is not shrinking, that the trade war is working, you are going to run right into the brick wall, which Trump has run into in this polling I showed you, because people are living it.